I was asked by a company to come and explain the secrets of negotiating with China and how to get a better deal when doing business with China. So here we go. Okay, great. So EFO training, the most wonderful device. I'm going to give you the most wonderful device for doing successful business with China. But first, I'd like to ask, is there any way to increase efficiency and the percentage of time that we get favorable terms from the Chinese and basically other Asian cultures also, because a lot of this relates to other Asian cultures?
I think that we can do it by increasing respect from their side, and I mean, if we will respect them, and if we will be sure that if we can make them respect us, and if we will be sure that we respect them.
You're right. You're absolutely right. It's kind of reciprocated idea. Everyone here knows that getting the right terms for the deal with the Chinese is success or failure for your business. So if you get the right terms, meaning everything, including price, with your Chinese partners, what this is going to do is increase your profits. It's going to increase the ability for you to make the proper deal that will favor your company, okay? And this can make success or failure for any business, really. And so I'm going to give you the most important points today. Now, we have been discussing the cultural trigger points, so I'm just going to kind of review that, not go into it, but I'm going to kind of just review it a little bit. So, well, here's the major things that you want to try to get in a deal. You're talking about product and the quality of the product, selection, supply, quality, placing the orders, production, process, inspecting before shipment. All of this is really important when you're dealing with products. So this is one of the elements of the terms of the deal that you need to look at. Documentation, obviously, is really important. This is auditing suppliers, manufacturing documents, signing of contracts, legal support of the deal. Legal support over there is very important.
Technical documentation is a real problem with Chinese.
Absolutely. But there's ways to fix that. Usually we recommend using an outside source to check. So either you go yourself or you have a reputable firm to check actually the quality of what's being done there. So it's really important. We actually even have one. I know Chris Danzenshire Ellis, which is does exactly that. That's what he makes his money doing. So we're actually kind of partnered with them in a little bit. This is Danzenshire, which is a really large company over there. All right, so let's see. But there's a part missing in this, which is the part that actually gives you the money, and that's the cultural trigger points. And we know that each nation has their own trigger point. So let's see here. This motivates business, but you can't see it. So all businesses are motivated by profit. But this particular thing also motivates people to give you a better deal. But people don't see it. It's like below. It's under the table. So with Russia, we know it's personal pride of the director. And with China, it's honor and respect. So think about your own culture for a minute. When I'm working with top companies in Russia, and you know some of these companies, Gazprom, Polymetal, Yandex, Intertool, Suckland Energy actually hired me to do this training. So they're a daughter company of Gazprom.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How do you get somebody to give you their word in Russia that they will do something for you?
By negotiation.
Right, negotiating. But this idea to get them to say, okay, yes, we'll do it, this is it's quicker to come in Russia by much. It's much faster to come in Russia than it is to come in the Oriental countries, especially China. In China, it's a lot longer. In China, this idea that yes, we will do this for you, it takes a lot more time. But respect and honor is the key. Now, you were talking before we started this that it should be equal. And I agree absolutely with you that it should be an equal thing. And we'll discuss that in depth in a minute here as far as like who to respect and how to respect and what, all this stuff. But in general, you do want to approach them with the authority of your company and with the authority of your country. So you're not Chinese, okay? When you walk there and you walk into an office, or maybe the Chinese come here to meet you, you should walk into the room like you are representing Russia. You're not trying to say that you're Chinese, and you're not exactly in their power structure. They have a very rigid power structure, even more so than Russia. So, and we'll discuss this in depth, but okay, let's use me as an example. I would walk in like I was representing the United States and my company that I'm representing, whoever I'm paid to represent. But if there was a person there that I knew to be the owner of the company or the senior person, in Chinese company, if I knew them to be that, I would give more respect to that person, and I would act in a way to show that I was not below him. I don't want to present that way, but I would show respect like an elder to this person. However, I would carry myself in a way that would demand respect for me, because if it gets unequal, like this, you're down here, you're not going to get any deals. It's really, really important to understand that. So,
we need to be on the same height, on the same position.
well, that's what I'm trying to tell you. You want them to respect you as a Russian. You're not Chinese, okay? And you represent Russia and your country. So yes, they damn well better respect you, and you should go with that. They damn well better respect me, okay? But I'm not saying that you don't give respect to them, because that's what it's all about, okay? And especially if you know it's a senior person, they come in a group to negotiate. So it's going to be like, 6 of them and 1 of you. Okay. And you'll never know who the senior person is unless you have former knowledge. A lot of times what he'll do is send his lackeys to you, under people. They'll negotiate, and then you'll meet him as you're being taken to get coffee, and he'll just shake your hand. Oh, we'd like you to meet, and you don't know who this person is. You shake all these people's hands. One of those is the guy in charge. And you never even knew that was the case, right? So it's kind of very sneaky. Now, you can maybe figure it out, but I'm saying that a lot of times you'll meet him and you didn't know you met him. Now, what is he doing when he meets you? Gauging you. He's absolutely judging you. He's judging to see who you are, what kind of person you are, whether you are going to show respect and honor, and whether you are worthy of doing business with them. Okay? It's all very, very important. So, I put this in here. What is the rub between, like the friction between the Chinese and the Russian deals. There's a large rub between these two things.
The different different approach to problem solving.
That's exactly right. Yes, we'll even cover that at some other time. But the cultural decision mapping. Oh, I think we did that at one time. Cultural decision mapping. Yes. So the different approach to problem solving is a major rub with the Chinese versus the Russian, or even versus the American or English people. It's like Mars. They're a completely different way of thinking and approaching things. But with Russia, it's extreme. I mean, with me, it drives me crazy, but it would drive you more crazy. So this is the major cultural rub, is the way that they don't think in the same way, and actually it's makes you crazy. It can make you, like, actually want to run out of the room.
So we need to be prepared.
And we're going to cover that. Yeah, absolutely. You need to be prepared. So that's actually, I think, what I'm on now. What I'm seeing with a lot of the companies that I work with here in this training is that they are not preparing. They're not preparing at all. None of the preliminary work before the negotiation is being done. Mm-hmm. Now, why do you think that is?
They don't have this information.
That's part of it. It's part of it that they've never touched anything like this. But the other thing is that the Russian culture kind of is against pre-thinking about it. And let me explain why. So you actually have a saying in Russia, I've been told. Maybe it will be okay. So you know this thing, yeah. So basically, maybe it'll be okay. And also, there's this idea that you stand in front of the mirror, you're getting ready with your coat, and you go, today I will go and negotiate with the Chinese, and I will make a good deal. You look yourself in the mirror, and you just believe that. That works in Russia. It works in Russia. Matter of fact, it works in the West to some degree. But in China, it's not going to serve you well. Matter of fact, that will kind of not serve you. It will go the opposite of serving you.
How do they prepare to the negotiation?
Well, they're very good at it. But what they're going to do is they're going to put you, remember, when you're dealing with them, the large majority of the Chinese people are not prepared. They've never been trained like this. They have not been trained. So they're going to put you into their culture, into their brain thinking, this circular thinking and all this. And you need to then be prepared for that. Well, let me just tell you the story. I was working with some Gazprom lawyers. And there are 3 Gazprom lawyers. And they related to me this particular thing right when I was working with them that they had to do. They had to go to China and negotiate for 2 companies. It wasn't relating to Gazprom.
You mentioned that
right.
It was so long that they just left the room.
They were insane by this because they came there to think only about
the deal.
Right. Let's move the deal forward. That's what their job was. You've got this one company and another company, and let's make the deal work. And the Gazprom lawyers were there as a kindness. It was like companies that were working with Gazprom, but they were not involved directly in this deal. So they were there just to kind of smooth it over. Oh my God, the Russians left pulling their hair out. They were insane by this because they didn't understand what they were going to walk into. What they walked into was negotiations that were on point 1 of the decision mapping, which is we have a problem. Okay, so the point 1, they stayed on point 1 for 8 hours.
What is the problem?
What is the problem? Right. We have a problem. Do we have a problem? Yes, we have a problem. Do we have a Yes, we have a problem. I think we have a problem. They circled this one point for 8 hours. The Russians could not move them to point 2. How do we solve the problem? Okay? It was unbelievable. and to Russians, this makes you crazy. It's absolutely, well, it's not you at all. You're very quick along this line. So from problem to fix the problem to no problem. The Chinese are okay. They're comfortable to be talking about having a problem.
What for?
It's the culture. So in other words, they could say, we have a problem. Do we have a problem? Yes, we have a problem. Let's talk about it. We have a problem. You would be, you see, you're already getting upset. You're like, shut up. Let's go to the...
That's enough for me. But
Yeah.
8 hours.
8 hours of discussing how the problem was and why it existed and do we need to do something about it. I mean, this is insane. So that's what I'm trying to say. You must prepare. So everything is very different. They're very slow to show you respect. So it's going to take time. And they're slow to actually want business with you. They're slow to actually agree to want, and there's different levels of this too, which we'll discuss here in a minute. But there's the level of, yes, we'll do it, but that's only one deal, and that's only maybe the quality of this particular shipment, okay? And that's like level one respect. So if you want the better stuff, you have to really build it, which we'll talk about here. So doing your preliminary work. So what I mean by this is you need to, before your first contact with them, you should prepare yourself. Well, number one, you should have a training like this and understand it's going to be difficult. You know, if I was going to go into negotiating, which I've done actually, negotiating with Chinese business people, the day before or the night before, I sit down and say, okay, I'm going to go there and negotiate with them. It's going to be difficult. Remember to control yourself. Remember that it's going to be kind of making me crazy, okay? Remember that I need to wait. Remember that they're going to talk around the same point over and over again. So this is the first step in the preliminary work, is to talk to yourself and tell yourself, look, this is serious. It's going to be something I've got to do, to put up with. Not to stand in the mirror in the morning and go, today I will make a deal with the Chinese people, because that's going to do you not much. Matter of fact, it actually goes against it, because when you're doing that, when you're looking yourself in the mirror like Russians do, you know, you comb your hair and I'm going to make a deal today. When you do this, what happens is you're thinking it's going to be quick. I'm going to walk in. I'm going to get the terms I want. I'm going to push the way Russians push. And it's just going to make it actually the opposite of what you're trying to do. So that's step one, preliminary, setting it up in your brain. Step two, before you even have the first contact with the people, even the first email, I would suggest getting a notebook, or you could do it on a computer if you want, but I don't know, it may be better a notebook because you want to put pen to paper. So what you're going to do is each page of this notebook, you're going to, the product that you're trying to actually order, whatever the resistor or transistor or whatever you're trying to order, you're going to write that at the top, of course, and then each company is going to have their own page. Okay? So when you first contact them, you're going to have a list of questions that you make out. And that's part of it here. Ask questions that you have planned in advance. Don't be shy. I mean, don't be tentative in what you're asking. Ask questions calmly without emotion. This is a big one with the Chinese. You do not want to show, okay, I'm sorry, you're writing fast.
One more time, please.
You calmly, be calm.
Ask our questions
calmly without emotion. You don't want to show emotion. If you're showing emotion, this is a big red flag for the Chinese people. It's like, you know, waving a red flag. It will make them, well, first of all, we haven't discussed this yet. Let's discuss this right now. Okay, so you have a bucket here, right? Okay. You're filling this bucket with droplets of respect. And the more droplets you have in this bucket, the more respect and honor you have as a person, your company has, and your country has. Now, when you walk with the weight of Russia, obviously Russia and China are working together in a lot of ways, right? China needs Russia. So you have innately, in you, meaning you by nature, you possess it in you. You innately have in you a certain respect level, which you need to use, okay? But if you went there and were asking the questions with emotion, right now, even right now, the way I'm talking to you, I'm showing a lot of emotion. You don't want to do that in China at all. I would tone it down a lot. You would think it's acting like a robot, maybe, you know, a little bit. Well, you don't want to talk low so they can't hear you, but you would not want to, what I'm doing with my hand here, you don't want to do that. You're going to ask the question. You could gesture a little, but you see how I'm kind of actually... Well, this is the way we talk. Yes, yes. So, and you would have to plan this in your brain beforehand. You know, this is that getting ready, preliminary work. So you would have to say things like, well, we are concerned about the quality of the products. You see, put my hands like this. And we would like to make sure that the quality remains the same throughout our business dealings together. Okay? And remember what I told you, when you're pronouncing words, if you're using English, you're going to slow down and pronounce carefully. So we would like to make sure that the quality remains the same. So you're going to pronounce slowly and carefully what it is you're saying, without emotion. Okay?
Should we repeat it several times during the show?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So in other words, you pick... Well, we're going to discuss that here in a minute, but you pick the things that are important to you and you hammer on those. But I don't mean hammer with emotion. I mean hammer with don't let off the point. You know, until they agree to it. Now, you don't beat them over the head with it, but you know, well, you're going to decide what things you must have. Okay? Thanks for coming along, guys. Well, in the next video in this series, we'll be discussing more deep negotiation techniques when dealing with the Asian countries, especially China. Please subscribe, comment, let me know what you're thinking. Have a good day, guys.